Well, so when Maharshi Dayanand established Arya Samaj, he gave a very vast vision of Arya Samaj, its political vision, its social vision, educational vision, and cultural, even religious vision he provided to this movement. And when this vision was provided, he was of the opinion that the path of the progress of India passes through the India itself. Whereas his contemporary during that period, whether they were political leaders, social thinkers, so called philosophers, Sanskrit scholars, they had a confirmed view that the path of India's progress passes through the West. And based upon the confirmation of Dayananda's, this view that the path of India passes through the India itself, he was known as just like a sun who was having his own light. And all other social reformers, political leaders during that period, I would call them as the moon, who need to shine and who need the light from the west, who needed light from the west to shine, to illuminate. But here is only one person in the scenario, whole scenario of India, who was the illuminating sun. And he gave a clarion call, that is why back to the Vedas. And the very theme of uh, this lecture series that is being conducted in South Africa, that is also the back to the Vedas. The people become confused whether by going to the Vedas we can do something. Can we do scientific progress? Can we do some social progress or social reforms can be brought in the society or the humanity? Justice can be imparted to people who are deprived of justice. So, egalitarian society can be generated or not. So many questions are there. And all the answers of these questions we find in the Vedas. And that was the plan chalked out by those early leaders of the Arya Samaj who had a direct relationship with the Swami Dayananda Saraswati, or who were the second generation leaders who were inspired by those who were directly influenced by Swami Dayananda Saraswati. So their path, their job was very different because they had to implement the agenda fixed by Swami Dayananda in political sphere, in scientific sphere, in research, in social sphere, in educational sphere. So most of their time, they laid their entire time in implementing that vision of great share of the land by their humble and continuous, unimpeded efforts. So, first of all, during such leadership, I would like to name Swami Shraddhananda. Swami Shraddhananda, he was born in 1856 and he was also known as Mahatma Munshiram. We will be surprised to know that Mahatma Munshiram, he gave his own surname Mahatma to Mohandas Karamchand Gandhi, and he himself became Shraddhananda, and Mohandas Karamchand Gandhi became Mahatma Gandhi. So this is a great contribution. Oh, this the first generation Arya Samaj leader, that the father of the nation, whether he is actually the father of the nation or not, I'm not going to going into that detail. But the father of the nation of India was given the title of Mahatma Gandhi by Mahatma Munshiram. He was one of the most powerful, dynamic, and revered leaders in the history of Arya Samaj. Following the passing of Swami Dayanand Saraswati in 1883, he became the undisputed pillar of the movement's radical reformist branch. He successfully bridged a strict Vedic lifestyle with fierce frontline anti-colonial nationalism. By that time, Britishers, they were propagating, they were convincing the Indian masses that through British education, through English education only, India can do progress. But R.S. Mas got, it is also very unfortunate that after the death of Maharshi Dayananda Saraswati, after the after 10 years, when Swami Dayanand passed away in 1883, after 10 years, the RS Mas got splitted in 1893. And what happens? The RS Mas got splitted into two parties. Two parties were named. One was the Ghas Party and another was the Mans Party. So Ghas Party and Mans Party, this split took place in 1893. Swami Shraddhanand, most of the leaders of this Ghas and Mas Party, they represented Punjab. Swami Shraddhanand belonged to the Ghas Party. Ghas Party means who used to who used to stick to the vegetarianism that that was proposed by Swami Dayananda Saraswati and the Shastras, our Shastras. But the Mans party, they were more liberal. They also allowed people that they can eat meat and do all these things, whether it is sanctioned by Swami Dayananda Saraswati or sanctioned in the Shastras or not. So this division, it was, I think, this division is still persistent in RS Mas, and we find everywhere division in the RS Mas, whether it is India or other countries. There is a lot of clashes. People are fighting each other. They are fighting for the presidency, for the leadership, although they are not so visionary to lead the RS Mas. But this first split itself took place in 1893. And Munshi Ram championed the Mahatma faction or that Ghas party faction which rejected westernized education. Because that mass party, they were also a little bit suspicious about the India's progress, that India's progress can take place through India itself. So they also accepted the westernized system of education in favor of a total return to the ancient Indian heritage. So Mahatma Munshiram, he sacrificed his highly lucrative legal practice. He was a lawyer, sold his personal assets, gathered public funds to build the historic Gurukul Kangdi near Haridwar. So he sacrificed his everything and he installed Gurukul Kangdi, one of the institutions which was devoted exclusively to the Indian knowledge system. Although the teaching of the Western science and Western knowledge system was also imparted over there, but it was not through English medium, it was through Hindi medium, and the supremacy was contained for the Vedas and Vedic literature. He designed the institution to fully resurrect the ancient Brahmacharya lifestyle. Students lived on campus under strict discipline, studying the Vedas, Sanskrit grammar, and even the modern sciences in Hindi, completely bypassing British colonial educational policies. His immense sacrifice at the Gurukul earned him the deep reverence of the public, who began calling him Mahatma long before the title he himself gave to Mahatma Gandhi. By 1917, deep ideological and administrative rifts opened between Munshi Ram and the powerful Punjab lobby of the Arya Pratinidhi Sabha. They controlled the institution's finances, Gurukul Kangri's finances. The urban Lahore lobby wanted to modernize the curriculum and enforce the strict bureaucratic oversight which Munsiram fiercely resisted, viewing it as a direct threat to the foundational Vedic purity and strict disciplinary insulation of the brahmacharis, as detailed by his son Indra Vidya Vachaspati in his book Mere Pita Swami Shraddhananda. He says that rather than dragging his beloved institution into a bitter public organizational battle, Munshiram chose a path of supreme dignity. He officially resigned from his supervision or the governorship in 1917, severed his administrative ties, and took the sacred vows of sannyas, renouncing, we can say renouncing his worldly name to become Swami Shraddhananda. And he focused the remaining years on the national freedom struggle. Swami Shraddhanand believed that to save Hindu society from internal collapse, the Arya Samaj had to aggressively dismantle caste divisions and welcome back those who had left the fold. So, this was one of the movements he also started. He spearheaded Shuddhi movement, a highly structured program to reconvert individuals who had converted into Islam and Christianity. In 1923, he founded the Bharatiya Hindu Shuddhi Sabha and successfully brought lakhs of Hindus, mostly the Malkana Rajputs of the Uttar Pradesh, back into the Vedic fold. He insisted that anyone returning via Shuddhi would be granted full equality, completely wiping away their previous caste barriers and granting them equal social status. So that was one of the big steps taken up by Swami Shraddhananda. Upon taking sannyas, he shifted his focus directly onto the Indian freedom struggle, moving his operational base to Delhi. And what happened? He led a massive anti-British protest march in Delhi when British soldiers pointed their bayonets and threatened to fire on the crowd. Shraddhananda famously stepped forward, bared his chest, and dared them to shoot. The soldiers backed down. And we will be surprised to know that only Swami Shraddhananda was the Hindu leader or the Arya Samaj leader. Even Gandhi was not allowed. An extraordinary moment happened in Hindu-Muslim unity against British rule. Muslim leaders invited him to ascend the pulpit of the historic Jama Masjid in Delhi on April 4, 1990. He became the first and the only Hindu monk to deliver a powerful Vedic sermon inside the Jama Masjid. 2 times it happened. So Swami Shraddhanand, he was the defender of untouchables. He was decades ahead of his time regarding the social justice. He openly criticized the mainstream Indian National Congress for neglecting marginalized communities. He fought tirelessly to open community wells, temples, and schools for Dalits, declaring that India could never attain true Swaraj, self-rule, as long as it kept millions of its citizens untouchable. But unfortunately, because of his highly successful Suddhi conversion efforts, he became a target of the religious extremists. On December 23, 1926, while laying ill in his bed in Delhi, he was tragically assassinated by a fanatic named Abdul Rashid from Uttar Pradesh. His martyrdom sent shock waves across India. When a religious extremist named Abdul Rashid thus assimilated Gandhi, Swami Shraddhananda, Gandhi addressed this tragedy at the Guwahati session of the Indian National Congress, and his words shocked many observers. What was Gandhi's view? Gandhi referred to Abdul Rashid as the misguided brother. He explicitly stated, I cannot hold Abdul Rashid guilty. The real guilty ones are those who filled his heart with the hate. In fact, Gandhi was the person who opposed this reconversion of the Muslims into the Hindu fold. So this is how many persons, many leaders, they became very much depressed by the statement of Gandhi. Even Vinayak Damodar Satwalekar, he also criticized Gandhi, and he viewed his sympathy toward a cold-blooded Gandhi viewed his sympathy towards that cold-blooded assassin. So Gandhi was criticized on this aspect. Secondly, I would like to quote the name of Pandit Shyamji Krishna Varma. He was an extraordinary revolutionary, freedom fighter, legal expert, journalist, and Sanskrit scholar. He is the historic for bridging Vedic philosophy with radical anti-colonial nationalism, serving as a vital link between the spiritual teaching of Swami Dayananda Saraswati and the physical struggle of the Indian independence. When Swami Dayananda Saraswati founded the very first branch of the Arya Samaj in Mumbai on Chaitra Shukla Panchami 1875, he recognized Shyamji's sharp intellect and deep commitment. Shyamji was appointed as the first president of Bombay Arya Samaj, helping to establish its organizational foundation and governance structure. Shyamji Krishna Varma considered Swami Dayananda as his personal spiritual guru. In 1876, he began working full-time as an official lecturer and the scholar for the movement. He traveled extensively across Western India, utilizing his profound command of Sanskrit and English to promote Vedic values, counter orthodox superstitions, preaching anti-caste meritocracy. His immense scholarship eventually earned him the title of Pandit from the prestigious Kasi Pandit organizations. The Kasi Pandit Sabha, who used to select Shankaracharyas, they gave him the title of Pandit. So Shyamji took Swami Dayananda's emphasis on Swaraj, self-rule, that was first propagated by Swami Dayananda, and he took up this issue, originally expressed in the book Satyarth Prakash. Maharshi Dayananda expressed it in Satyarth Prakash and translated it into a political action plan. Shyamji Krishna Varma, he translated this Swaraj concept of Swaraj in his political action plan. He was among the first Indian leaders to demand complete independence from British rule, arguing that cultural pride and Vedic self-reliance were entirely incompatible with a foreign colonization. Shyamji's Arya Samaj roots heavily influenced the historic anti-colonial structures he built while operating in exile from the Europe. In London, he established India House, a famous hostel and hub for Indian students. When I visited London, I visited that place. That was a sort of tirtha for me. Because of his background, large number of Arya Samaj youths traveling to England joined his network. India House became a training ground for legendary revolutionaries like Vinayak Damodar Satwalekar, Lala Hridayal, Madam Bhikhaji Kama, all Indian young people, they used to use that place for the Indian freedom struggle. He launched a highly influential monthly journal titled The Indian Sociologist. He used this publication not only to criticize British atrocities but also to actively promote social, religious, and political reforms. He became the first Indian MA at Oxford University and was even appointed as an assistant professor of Sanskrit at Balliol College, Oxford. We must know that Oxford is not any university. There is no such university as Oxford, we call it. Oxford is a place in London, in Britain, and all colleges, there are several colleges in that place, and all those colleges combinedly, they are known as Oxford. So Balliol College was the place where that chair, Sanskrit chair, was established by Monier Williams, and where this Max Muller was also one of the chair professor of that chair, and he did that. He edited and published this Rig Veda along with a translation of Sayana. So Shyamji Krishna Varma, he used to interact with Max Muller over there, and he used to hand over that Dayananda's Veda Bhashya to the Max Muller, and there was a lot of correspondence between Swami Dayananda and the Max Muller through Shyamji Krishna Varma. So Shyamji Krishna Varma used to represent. He was also appointed as a assistant professor of Sanskrit at Balliol College. Later, his estate arranged for his massive personal Sanskrit and Oriental library to be preserved at the Institute of Indian Civilization at Sorbonne University in Paris, ensuring Western access to the authentic Vedic literature. He was trying to introduce the literature of Swami Dayananda to these Western countries. Shyamji Krishna Varma used to say that the credit for all the service he had done for the nation, caste, and society goes entirely to Maharshi Dayananda. Now, third great personality I would like to quote the name is Pandit Lekh Ram. These are the people who were directly associated with Swami Dayananda, who used to attend his lectures. Pandit Lekh Ram was a prominent early leader, dynamic missionary, and legendary debater of the Arya Samaj movement in Punjab. He is revered with the Samaj as the Arya Musafir. This title was given to him, Arya Musafir, the Aryan traveler, due to his relentless travels to spread Vedic philosophy. And he used to be known as a Dharma Veera, the brave defender of the Dharma, Vedic Dharma, following his tragic assassination. He was also assassinated. He is best remembered for his aggressive theological debates, Shastrartha. He was the first person who started Shastrartha, and for authority, for authoring the first comprehensive bibliography of Mahasi Dayananda Saraswati. He was born in a village of Sayyadpur in Pakistan. Today, that place is in Pakistan. Then Lekram, you will be surprised to know that he joined the Punjab Police Department as a young man. His life shifted completely after he read the writing of Swami Dayanand Saraswati and met prominent Arya Samaj leaders like Munshi Indramani. Deeply moved by the call to reform Hindu society, he resigned from his stable government police job in 1884 after the death, 1 year after the death of Swami Dayanand, to dedicate his entire life to Arya Samaj. He became the chief preacher of the Punjab Arya Pratinidhi Sabha. He traveled tirelessly, as I told, across the towns and villages, establishing new branches, countering superstitions, practices, and delivering fiery public lectures. So, Pandit Lekram was a fearless leader who specialized in comparative religion. He engaged in sharp public ideological battles against the Christian missionaries, Orthodox Hindu factions, and Islamic proselytizers. His most famous and bitter rivalry was with Mirza Ghulam Ahmad, the founder of the Ahmadiyya movement in Qadian, Punjab. The two leaders engaged in fierce multi-year war of the words through pamphlets, books, and public challenges. Lekram wrote several highly critical books analyzing Islamic and Ahmadiyya doctrines, including Takshif-e Bakaya e Ahmadiyya, Tafsis-e-Bakaya e Ahmadiyya. In response to the Lekram's aggressive writing, Mirza Ghulam Ahmad published a famous prophecy in 1893, predicting that Pandit Lekram would face a calamitous end within 6 years as divine retribution for his polemics. And what happened? The intense religious friction culminated in tragedy. On March 6, 1897, an unidentified man who had gained Lekram's trust under the pretense of wanting to convert to Hinduism stabbed him in the abdomen at his residence in Lahore. Pandit Lekram succumbed to his wounds the following day. So this is how Pandit Lekram was also assassinated. Now in this same generation, another name is the name of Mahatma Hansraj. As I told, there was division in Arya Samaj in Ghas Party and Mas Party. Ghas Party was represented by Swami Shraddhananda Mahatma Munshiram, and that Mas Party was represented by Mahatma Hansraj. Swami Shraddhananda, he wanted to introduce Gurukul system, but these DAV institutions, Dayanand Anglo-Vedic colleges, it was the contribution of Mahatma Hansraj and his friends. He was also a monumental educationist, social reformer, one of the most revered leaders of the Arya Samaj, alongside Lala Lajpat Rai. And Pandit Guru Datta Vidyarthi, one of a big name in Arya Samaj. He formed the core leadership of the college that was known as Ghas Party, and they used to call themselves as Mahatma Party. On the other hand, they were called as Mans Party, and they used to call as college or cultured party, cultured faction of the Arya Samaj following 1893 split. He is a universally celebrated Mahatma Hansraj as the founding father of the Anglo-Vedic educational movement, turning a localized reform group into India's largest non-governmental educational network. In 1886, upon graduating from the Government College Lahore, Hansraj made a historic vow. Influenced deeply by the memory of Swami Dayanand, he offered his full-time services to the upcoming Devi school completely free of charge. Because Hansraj refused to take salary in the DV colleges he was establishing, his elder brother Mulkraj selflessly pledged to share half of his own modest government salary, and he used to get the salary 80 rupees per month. So 40 rupees per month he used to give to the Mahatma Hansraj to support Hansraj's family, enabling him to work as an unpaid volunteer for over 25 years. Mahatma, he was also known as Mahatma. Mahatma Munshiram here was the Mahatma Hansraj. Mahatma Hansraj believed that for India to modernize and to break free from the colonial rule, it needed an education system that combined Western science and technology with ancient Vedic vision. On June 1st, 1886, the first Dayanand Anglo-Vedic High School was opened in Lahore, 3 years after the death of Swami Dayananda. Mahatma Hansraj served as its headmaster first, then subsequently it was converted into a college, and then he served its principal. And there is also a Hansraj College in Delhi named after Mahatma Hansraj. Under his strict discipline and visionary guidance, Devi Lahore became the most prestigious educational hub in Punjab. He systematically scaled this model, establishing an expansive network of schools, colleges, and technical institutions across North India. Hansraj did not confine himself to the classrooms. He was a tireless relief organizer who mobilized the Arya Samaj network to serve victims during India's worst natural and social crises. He led extensive successful rescues and rehabilitation missions during the devastating Rajputana famine and catastrophic Kangra earthquake. And one of the most important contributions by him, that the Mopla riots in Kerala. It was Mahatma Hansraj who personally appointed and dispatched Mahatma Ananda Bhikshu. I'll tell about it in detail when I'll speak about Mahatma Ananda Bhikshu. His name was Khushahal Chand, to run relief camps and spearhead the Shuddhi movement to rehabilitate the fierce converts in Kerala. So, living up to the title of Mahatma, he waged an active institutional war against regressive societal norms. He utilized TV platform to fiercely campaign against child marriage, advocate for the remarriage of the widows, and enforce the total elimination of birth-based untouchability, making education completely merit-based. Mahatma Hansraj passed away on November 15, 1938 in Lahore. He left behind no personal wealth, no property, material assets, nothing, but left an empire of knowledge. Today, known as JV College Management Committee, manages over 900 educational institutions globally, including the prestigious Hansraj College in Delhi. Now, we must also know some political and educational visionaries. The first of them is Lala Lajpat Rai. He was known as Sher-e Punjab. He was a towering Indian nationalist, revolutionary freedom fighter, public author, and legal expert, universally celebrated as Punjab Keshari, Lion of Punjab. He formed the historic Lal Bal Pal. Actually, there were two groups in the Indian Congress itself. One group was known as soft group, and one group was known as hard group. And that hard group was formed by Lala Lajpat Rai, Bal, Bal Gangadhar Tilak, and Pal, Bipin Chandra Pal. And Gandhi, and they were very soft towards the Britishers. But these people, they had the harsh attitude towards the British and their rule in India. So this Bal Gangadhar Tilak and Bipin Chandra Pal and all these were the three persons. Lala Lajpat Rai believed that the national self-reliance, Swaraj, could only be achieved through an indigenous education system and rejected British cultural hegemony. In 1886, he joined forces with Mahatma Hansraj and Pandit Gurudatta Vidyarthi to establish DAV Anglo-Vedic College Management Committee in Lahore. Utilizing his immense popularity as a lawyer and public orator, Lala Lajpat Rai traveled extensively across India to raise critical financial capital for the DAV schools. His efforts ensured that the institution could run independently of British government grants, preserving their nationalist and Vedic autonomy. So he was against untouchability. He, as I told, championed that college faction. His nationalist writings, and he also wrote a book on Arya Samaj. As a brilliant journalist and historian, Lala Lajpat Rai authored numerous influential books in exile, and one of them was Arya Samaj, published in 1915. And it remains one of the most comprehensive, authoritative English accounts explaining the movement's history, philosophy, social unity to the Western world. In his political essays, he continuously traced his concept of radical Swaraj, complete independence, back to the Dayananda Saraswati's Satyarth Prakash, arguing that physical, political liberation was a natural extension of the spiritual and mental freedom. But he was also martyred on October 30th, 1928, while leading a peaceful Arya Samaj and Congress protest against the British Simon Commission. In Lahore, Lala Lajpat Rai was brutally assaulted in police lathi charge ordered by James S. Scott. Despite severe chest injuries, he famously declared, "The blows stuck to my body will be the last nails in the coffin of the British rules in India." And he succumbed to his injuries on November 17, 1928. Now I come to Pandit Gurudatta Vidyarthi, a person who was agnostic, atheist. He never believed in God. But at the time the Swami Dayanand breathed his last, he was hiding behind a window and he was watching Swami Dayananda's last journey. And when Swami Dayanand had conversation with Brahman, "Oh God, this is your wish, this is your wish, and let it be fulfilled," he got surprised and he became an atheist. I would call him an excellent, brilliant scientist, linguist, genius, and Vedic philosopher. Despite dying at a tragically young age 25, he left a monumental impact on the early Arya Samaj movement, laying the academic foundation for its modern educational system. Guru Datta was a highly rational student at Government College Lahore, who initially approached Swami Dayanand Saraswati's teaching with skepticism. However, as I told, he was moved by the incident of 1883. Watching the founder face excruciating physical pain with absolute serenity, singing Vedic hymns and peacefully breathing his last profoundly transformed Guru Datta. He instantly renounced his skepticism, vowed to dedicate his remaining life to fulfilling Swami Dayananda's unfinished spiritual and educational work. Guru Dutt was a professor of science and a master of multiple languages Sanskrit, Arabic, Persian, and English. He was the first scholar to argue that Vedas are entirely compatible with modern science. He used Western scientific methodology, physics, and chemistry to explain complex Sanskrit terminology, providing that ancient texts contained deep scientific and rational principles. Alongside Mahatma Hansraj and Lala Lajpat Rai, Guru Dutt Vidyarthi was instrumental in setting up the Anand Anglo-Vedic College Committee. He toured tirelessly to raise funds for the school. His dedication towards that institution combined Western science and English with strict Vedic ethics, recognizing that the movement needed national, well educated, and articulate scholars to debate orthodox and foreign missionary groups. He established specialized training class for Upadeshakas in Lahore. Guru Dutt worked with an intense self-sacrificing energy. He completely neglected his physical health, skipping meals and sleeping minimal hours to balance his professoral duties with his heavy writing, translating, and touring for the Arya Samaj. He contracted tuberculosis and passed away on March 1890. At just 25 years of age, his premature death shocked entire Arya Samaj community, and that was an irreparable loss to the Arya Samaj. In this series, I would also like to name Pandit Paramananda, Pandit Bhai Paramananda. He was also a towering Indian freedom fighter, global Vedic missionary, academic, and social reformer, born into a prominent family in Punjab, descended from the revered martyr Bhai Mati Das. He became one of the most influential figures of the early Arya Samaj. He is affectionately referred to by Samaj as Devata Swarupa, godlike, for his lifelong self-sacrifice. Bhai Paramananda was the most successful early leaders to export Arya Samaj ideology internationally, intentionally traveling to the Indian diaspora, because he knew by that time that Indian diaspora has been reached to the several parts of the globe. So he reached them, traveling to Indian diaspora hubs to protect indentured laborers from forced conversions and cultural erosion. In 1905, Arya sent him as its first official missionary to South Africa. He stayed directly with Mahatma Gandhi, who arranged his highly popular public lectures in Durban. His discourses deeply united the fractured, marginalized Indian immigrant workers over there. Then he traveled in 1910 to Guyana, Trinidad, and the Suriname. His electrifying lectures established Guyana as the foundational epicenter of the Caribbean Arya Samaj movement. As a young student, he was deeply mentored by Lala Lajpat Rai and Mahatma Hansraj. He was the second young leader. He was mentored by Hansraj and Lala Lajpat Rai. Upon completing his master's degree in history, he took a lifelong vow of service to the movement, joining the DAV College, Lahore, as a professor of history and political and economics. To uphold his ascetic Vedic principle, he rejected highly lucrative university promotions, choosing instead to teach for a meager fixed allowance of just rupees 75 per month to ensure the college funds went directly to the student welfare. While many leaders fought caste system discrimination gently, Bhai Pravanand launched a direct institutional assault on it. He founded the Jat Paat Todak Mandal Society for the Brackets of the caste. Right out of his Lahore residence, he served its first president. The Mandal successfully organized thousands of the cross-caste marriages, structurally dismantled hereditary hierarchies. He vehemently advocated for the total integration of Dalits, the education of women, the remarriage of widows, famously pursuing the Arya Samaj apex body to urge all Hindus to completely erase their subcaste surnames and simply write Arya. So that was a great contribution by this scholar Gurudatta Vidyarthi. Another name I would like to name here, Swami Vishveshwarananda. He was born in 1850 itself, and he was a monumental figure in the history of Arya Samaj, best remembered for establishing the structural foundation of the modern Vedic lexicography and textual research. You will be surprised to know that I did my final year of the master's degree from Punjab University, and that advanced study of center of research that is in Hoshiarpur, and that center is known as Vishveshwarananda Vishwabandhu Institute. And from that center, a great monumental work was published known as Word Vedic Concordance into 18 volumes. All 500 Vedic texts, all words have been taken up alphabetically, their address, reference have been given, and grammar for all words was determined. This work was done by Vishwabandhu finally, but it was started by Vishveshwarananda. While other early leaders focused on social protests, political mobilization, or building schools, Swami Vishveshwarananda dedicated his entire life to an extraordinary, painstaking intellectual mission, indexing every single word across the extensive Vedic text to make them universally accessible to the researchers. And I told that his work in 1903 at Shankuti in Shimla, Swami Vishveshwaranand, alongside his close scholarly collaborator Swami Nityanand, launched an unprecedented literary project to prepare comprehensive alphabetical word indices for the principal Vedic Sangitas. I told that is known as Vedic Word Concordance, and that institution is still now affiliated or merged with the Punjab University, and it is one of the advanced study of Sanskrit of the Punjab University, and earlier known as VVRI, now that is known as VVBIS and IES. And I am one of the alumni of that institution. So that was a great work, Swami Vishveshwarananda. He firmly stood by Swami Dayananda's revolutionary tenet that the Vedas belong to all humanity. Now I'm coming to Swami Darshanananda Saraswati. He was also a visionary philosopher, prolific writer, and a fierce proponent of Arya Samaj. Born in Jagrao, Punjab, he left an enduring legacy of transforming the way the Arya Samaj handled the mass education and literature. He was affectionately known as a ruling university because his unique, relentless habit of traveling across North India to establish traditional learning centers. He was the architect and pioneer of the Gurukul network, while other leaders focused heavily on modern Devi English backed schools. Swami Darshanananda dedicated his life to reviving the traditional ancient Indian Gurukul system along with Swami Shraddhananda. He believed that the true character building happened through the standard Vedic knowledge system, and he established in Haridwar itself Gurukul Mahavidyalay Jwalapur. Still it is there. Prolific institutional growth he did. He did not stop at one by opening up Gurukul, establishing Gurukul Mahavidyalaya Jwalapur. He built multiple Gurukulas across Haryana, Punjab, Uttar Pradesh, such as Sikandrabad, Badaयूं, focusing heavily on making education completely accessible to marginalized communities who were historically barred from studying scriptures. So that was also great contribution. He was also against caste discrimination. All these leaders of Arya Samaj on social front, educational front, they were one in their ideas. Now I would like to speak about one more prominent leader that is known as Pandit Ramchandra Dehalvi. He was an exceptionally brilliant Vedic scholar, deep thinker, and a legendary orator of the Arya Samaj. He was widely celebrated throughout the movement for his profound expertise in religious philosophy and unmatched skill in intellectual debates, known as Shastrarth. He was one of the Shastrarth Maharathi. He was known for his sharp intellect. From a young age, he completed his early schooling in Neemuch, Rajasthan. He went to pass the 8th grade examination from Devi School in Asmer and later cleared his matriculation in Indore with a first class distinction. At the age of 18, he married Kamala Devi, a resident of Delhi, and took on the responsibilities of family life, eventually aligning his life work closely with Delhi, since that is why he was named as Dehlavi, Ramchandra Dehlavi. What set Pandit Ramchandra Dehlavi apart was that he was not just an expert in Vedas. He was an also authoritative scholar of Islamic and Christian scriptures. He thoroughly studied the original text, including Quran, and allowed him to engage with opposing scholars using the facts and structured logic. He authored numerous impactful books and essays analyzing religious philosophies. Among his notable preserved works, the book Do Sanatan Satya, Two Eternal Truths. Pandit Ramchandra Delhi dedicated his lifelong to traveling across India, using rational debates, deep scriptural command to defend Vedic Dharma and unite community. Delhi's reputation he was reputed as the prince among preachers. Prince among preachers was forced through Shastras. This title he earned through the Shastrarthas, highly structured public theological debates that were intentionally popular in early 20th century India. His strategy was unique. Instead of just defending the Vedas, he mastered the original Arabic and Urdu text of the Quran and Hadiths. This allowed him to debate opposing religious scholars using their own scriptures. Between 1910 and 1925, Fountain Square in Delhi. There is a place, Pavara Chowk. It is still close in Fatehpuri area, served as a hotbed for public religious debates. British Christian missionaries regularly held open-air sermons there, challenging the philosophical validity of the Hindu traditions and the concept of rebirth. Pandit Ramchandra Delavi regularly took the stage to answer those challenges in front of thousands of the spectators. Missionaries often attacked Hinduism using flawed or highly localized practices like rigid birth-based caste system.
He replies,
Dehelvi countered.
She asks, was he alone or was someone with...
Dehelvi countered by separating Vedic philosophy from corrupt societal practices. He utilized Arya Samaj's core tenet that Vedas preach pure merit-based egalitarianism to win the debates, effectively halting mass conversions in Delhi area. Through Delhi, though Delhi fought to defend Hinduism from external conversions, he also participated in sharp internal Shastrarthas against the traditional orthodox Sanatani Hindu Pandits who supported idol worship and birth-based untouchability.
Then the wife turns to the homeless man and asks, will you be a witness against that rich man? He gave you only $20, but I'll give you $1,000 if you tell the court that he was cheating. The man replies, sure, I'll help you. The boyfriend says, great, let's go find him and record the video. Then
I'm not sure what is happening there, Professor G.
Yeah, you have a check on participants list. Somebody is doing this mischief.
Okay. All right, Professor G, I'm so sorry to cut you short. We're just going
but just
over
I'm concluding.
our time.
I'm just concluding. I'm at the
Okay.
concluding bit.
Acha.
I know because I already checked the time. So Dehlevi successfully argued the four core of the Vedas that they contain no idol worship, temple rituals, birth-based discrimination, and the stunning event that took place during his time in that Satyagraha, Hyderabad Satyagraha. In late 1920s, a highly active proselytizing group known as Deen Dhar Anjuman emerged in the Nizam's Hyderabad state, led by Siddiqui Deen Dhar, who claimed to be reincarnation of the historical figures to convert local Hindus to Islam. And the local Hindu population felt spiritually and socially threatened, leading Chandulal, the head of the local Arya Samaj, to invite Pandit Ramchandra Delavi. And Ramchandra Delavi, he defeated that Siddiqui in his debates, Shastrarthas, and what happened. Then this Nizam Hyderabad, he banned his lectures in Hyderabad. Then there was a great mass scale agitation by Arya Samajis that was known as Hyderabad Satyagraha. And ultimately, Nizam had to bow down before Arya Samaj, and he allowed Arya Samaj to do all activities. And thus, we know that these type of all activities by early leaders carried out for the uh, realizing or redeeming the vision set forth by Dayananda Saraswati, and Swami Ananda Bhikshu was one of such scholars. You know, he did so much of the rescue work in Kerala. During Mopala riots, the Hindus were massacred over there and they were forced to the conversion to Islam. But this team of Arismas from Punjab went to Kerala. Nobody could help them, and they helped them. They did so much of the relief work and they assuaged the Hindus over there. So this is how the early leadership of Arismas, they tried to implement the vision of Maharshi Dayanand Saraswati that was envisioned by him in Satyarth Prakash and during his lectures, making India as a sovereign, self-ruled nation free from superstitions, social injustices, evils, and educationally strong nation. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Professor G. Messages we got from Alma Murugan, who says, thank you for sharing. And Dr. Vinesh Arya says, it's a great session. There's a question that came from Prisha Bhogul. I'm going to email that to you because we don't have time for that now. So perhaps you could reply to that at some time. Okay. So today's
Prisha
convenience
will
is when
continue asking me many questions, so that's no problem.
all right. Okay. So we are looking at our lifestyle now that's, it's part of yesteryear's trials, tribulations, lessons. So similarly, the Vedic path that we are treading has been laid out by our early Arya Samaj leaders. So what we take away from this evening's lecture is that we don't become dormant, but to be inspired by great leaders to make greater strides in following their footsteps and to leave behind footprints for these after us to progress further. So thank you so much, Professor G. And thank you so much for all the guests who have joined in. And don't forget to meet and join us again on the 12th of August when we will have Pandit Singh, Prishin Singh, who is going to be giving us some legal Yes, yes. Because our next lecture will be about what does South African law say about equality. So I'm so sorry to end this, but we have to go. And thank you once again, Professor G.
Thank you. Thank you.
Acha. Namaste. And over to you, Karuna ji.
Thank you very much to Professor Dr. Ravi Prakash. And as indicated, our next lecture will be on the 12th of August. The focus is on what the South African Constitution says about equality. The theme is still the same. What does it mean to be a member of the Arya Samaj? Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank
you. Namaste. Thank you very much, Professor G. And
Ishmaji, do you want to close with Shantipat, perhaps?
Om Dhyau Shantar Antariksham Shanti Prithvi Shantirapa Shantirvakshadhaya Shanti Vanaspatayah Shantirvishve Devah Shantirbrahma Shanti Sarvam Shanti Shantirev Shanti Sama Shantir Edhi Om Shanti 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 Namaste.